Hey, welcome back to David is Goliath TV. Got another philosophical video for you today. Had a bunch of comments coming from some certain individual on my last one that I was talking over their head a little bit. Can't help it. Sorry. This isn't for everybody, these videos, This video is for people that have the, what do I want to say? Initiated mind, able to understand basic concepts with physics. I kind of rant and rave a little bit in my videos, so I try to keep them short and sweet and to the point. So if you haven't done so yet, I encourage you to check out my other video. Watch it from beginning to end. Listen to the whole thing before you judge it. But anyhow, this video is talking about the existence of life after death and the scientific proof that I proffer you today, that I encourage you to weigh and measure on your own merit mentally, whether or not you believe this to be true. So first I'm going to start by telling you about Mr. Albert Einstein. Mr. Albert Einstein believed in a great many things before he died. He believed in black holes before they were discovered. People called him insane, He says, math says they must exist. Long after his passing, they discovered black holes actually exist. Einstein also said white holes must exist, where the matter is expelled because math says that these anomalies must exist out there. Still today, in 2024, we have yet to discover the white hole. Albert Einstein said that the Higgon and the boson must exist, which are part of the structure of the atom. In my last video, I talk about how the universe has muchness. What I mean to say is it has subatomic mass and weight and value, But I'm dubbing it down a little bit for people who are really into physics, Anyhow, Einstein believed in black holes. He believed in white holes. He believed in the Higgon. He believed in the boson. He believed in the tachyon. That's another particle. And guess what? Long after his passing, we discovered the black hole. We did not discover the white hole. We did discover the Higgon. We also discovered the boson. We have yet to discover the tachyon. And Albert Einstein, he said, the tachyon must exist because math says that it must exist. So we have discovered all these other things except for the white hole and the tachyon that I'm talking about, that he spoke about in specific terms. He believed in life after death. A man of science, Albert Einstein, but he didn't believe in life after death because of Christian dogmas. He didn't believe in life after death because of something like that. He believed in life after death because of math, because of his view of physics, and drawing attention to the tachyon. People haven't been able to find it. It's more than likely a universal energetic constant like gravity. The tachyon, if I could give you an analogy to make you understand basically what it is. It's like memory foam for the linear movement that matter takes through the course of time and space. So your body, it's made out of atoms, it's made out of molecules, and all of these things are in movement constantly. Even dead things are constantly in movement. The state of absolute zero doesn't exist. So that means all matter is constantly in motion, yeah? Yeah. So, this is a very beautiful thing, on the whole of it. If all matter is remembered for all time, the path that matter takes through time, is remembered for eternity by this tachyon. It is the recording of time, space, of everything that happens. That's a crazy thing to think, that every blade of grass you ever step upon, every word you ever speak, every thought you ever think that's just a neuron impulse charge in the fat matter of your brain for the fraction of a second, these things are permanently ingrained in time-space for eternity, forever and ever. That's crazy. That's profound. That really means, you decide what happens in the course of time-space, whether or not your life is going to be beautiful or if it's going to be a smudge on the sparkling ball of time-space. Interesting observation. If the tachyon exists, if everything moving through time-space really is recorded, that means I could fizzle pop like a vampire in the sun right now into a pile of ash. And people would go, oh, he's dead. He's gone. He's never going to walk under the sun ever again. He doesn't have blood in his veins. He doesn't have thoughts in his brain. His fat organ that transmits thoughts is rotted and gone. And there's literally nothing left. No whimsical ghost zipped out of him. Nothing like that. Well, I'm here to tell you, if every moment of your life is literally recorded by time, space itself, by this tachyon, then you really can never stop existing. It comes down to an equation. 1, caret, 0. Something, I'm not a mathematician, so I say caret. 1, caret, 0 says something is always greater than nothing. If something is always greater than nothing, then nothing cannot exist. Nothing cannot be quantified. You know, I said this to a man. I was fixing his furnace. I own a Quick Fix Heating and Air, this heating and air company, and I was working on this man's furnace, and I tell him this, you know, 1, caret, sign, 0, something is always greater than nothing, and nothing can't exist. And he says to me, you know, I'm the UNO physics professor. He goes, let me show you nothing. And he reaches in, and he grabs his hand, and he pulls out his hand, and he goes, ah, there's nothing right there in my hand. And I say, sir, you see that poster of the black hole on the wall? And he goes, yeah. And I say, you know what happens when a star falls into the event horizon of a black hole? He goes, oh yeah, I talk to my students about them all the time. You know, we know everything about it. He goes, they're millions of light years across. He goes, you could go from one end to the other and you wouldn't get even halfway across in your entire lifetime. He goes, it is larger than life. He goes, everything from Pluto to the sun would be a fleck of dust on one of these things. And he says, but yes, when a star enters the event horizon of the black hole, it becomes a band of light that immediately gets stretched billions of light years across, immediately becomes a band of light on the outside. He says to me, if I were to throw my pocket watch into the black hole, you would see a silver band of light immediately appear on the outside, getting stretched billions of light years across. And I say to him, well, sir, if we can observe that the vacuum of space is something, it's not empty. It can be folded upon itself, so it's not empty. So how is the vacuum of space nothing? You know, nothing can't be quantified by physics if even the emptiness of space can be folded upon itself. And he goes, I never thought about it that way. It's true. You know, that's how this whole life after death thing happens. It's because it doesn't take place here in this place. Here in this place, this is the third dimension. It's quantified by time, space, and physical directional movement. But after we die, everything that we are is a recording of everything that we've ever done and everything that we are in essence. This recording of our lives is called our soul. This whole thing that takes place after human existence, you know, that's not even on the freaking timeline because it doesn't happen on the timeline, happens in the fourth dimension. That's my opinion, that unified physics points to life after death taking place in the fourth dimension. That's because here in this place, you've never met a person at a time that wasn't also at a place. Basic, you know, but that's not going to be true in the place to come. After this life, we will enter the fourth dimension. You know, if you want to think that your life is literally recorded in the book of life by God, like some dude with magic ink and a pen, whatever, you know, that's your predilection to believe that. Or if you want to believe that God is literally nature, matter moving through time, embodied in the highest vibration, making a way for man to reach the pinnacle of creation, you know, that's a unified physical way of thinking. You know, there's more to God than these scholars of old have shaken sticks at and, you know, killed millions of people over and all this stuff. God is greater than the petty, broken humans of earth. God is greater than species. He's greater than time. He's greater than space. He's literally God. To say he would imply that it is like an organic being, you know, with eyes and a mouth and a nose and stuff. None of that is even matter to me. God is, point in fact, to me, the glue that binds reality to itself. You know, but anyway, all I was making a point here is that there is life after death because the tachyon exists. Because everything in life has a recording in the Book of Life, if you will, by the tachyon, the energetic movement of matter through time. You know, it's recorded forever and ever. And after your life ends here, what's left of you will exist somewhere, but it won't be here in this place. It'll be in the place that's also there. You know, time is an object when you're in the fourth dimension. You know, Neil deGrasse Tyson, my favorite atheist, he said something I really perked my ears up. He said, if you want to know where we are in creation, I encourage you to take a look at this for a second. He puts a polka dot on a piece of paper. He goes, this is a 1, this is a non sequitur here, or something like that. He draws a box eventually here after a line, and he goes, now this is a 2-dimensional plane connected by 4 1-dimensional dots. And now he draws he goes, bear with me. He throws a 3-dimensional box he draws on the 2-dimensional piece of paper. He goes, this is a 3rd-dimensional box here, 3rd-dimensional represented space on a 2-dimensional plane that's connected by up to, what does he say, 12, you know, 2-dimensional points or whatever. He goes, but this is where we are. This is where we are right now. He goes, if you put a 3rd-dimensional box inside that other 3rd-dimensional box on that piece of paper, you just draw it there. You connect all the corner points. You have a 4th-dimensional space here now. You have a polygonal shape that is in flux. It can't decide what it is. It is a 4th-dimensional space that's connected to up to, what did he say, 23 or 24 3rd-dimensional points, you know. I'm not very good at math myself, you know, so it's one of those. But he says that's why a lot of people believe that there are 23 or 24 3rd-dimensional layers of reality that could exist. That's how they think that. He goes, you know, but it goes on and on and on. He goes, you could keep writing numbers on this page forever and ever. You could go to 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th dimensions, you know, and that's an interesting observation. You know, I bore witness to the death of an 18-year-old boy. You know, the testimony of this man, David Carlson, was given to me with permission to reshare his testimony. And amazing testimony, this man. You know, I told him when he was done telling me that he gave me a few secrets of heaven, pieces of wisdom that I believe I truly gleaned from what transpired. So if you want to tap out the video now, go for it. You know, like everything I wanted to say is done about life after death. But if you want to hear something interesting, stay tuned for another little bit of a rant here, 12 minutes and 30 seconds in. So David Carlson, he tells me that he found his son after he committed suicide in his home. And he ran out of his home, not being able to control his faculties, you know, hyperventilating and such. He said he was pulled out of himself and into a vision. And I says, Mr. Carlson, what did you see? He says, in my vision, he says he was in the world's largest room he had ever been in. He said there was a pillar of light extending in the middle of this room all the way up and disappearing into the lights of the sky. He says there was 2 blinding sources of light on either side of this big pillar of light, you know, and he says they didn't look like anything other than blinding sources of light. And he says as far as the eye could see, there were people standing around. And he said something really interesting happened. He says that this source of light came down from the pillar, from up on high, and entered the room. And when this happened, the 2 great lights on either side of this pillar also lowered. And he says when this happened, he saw all these heads bow for as far as the eye could see when he was pushed out of himself and, you know, back into his own mind. You know, he says that he heard words hit his ears, but not with sound. I says, well, what did you hear? And he says, I heard the words, it's okay. I know what it's like. I've lost a son too. And I said to him, you know, Mr. Carlson, what you're telling me sounds like the vision of heaven in Revelations. This guy John was exiled to this place called Patmos after escaping a death conviction. And there he spent the rest of his days. And while he was there, he wrote this book, Revelations. And in the book, he describes a vision of the throne of heaven. And in his vision, he's talked about a pillar of light extending all the way up the throne of God, you know, at the pinnacle of creation, he says was the throne of God. And, you know, on either side of this throne of God, you know, in his vision in the book of the Bible, he says there are the seraphim, these multifaceted beings of light, some of God's first creations. They're supposed to have like multiple faces and multiple wings and stuff. And you should see how they do it up in these cartoons like that they have on TV and stuff on YouTube. Like they depict the seraphim. There's just ridiculous aberrations that they depict. But anywho, you know, he described what I believed to be the throne of God, the throne room of God. And, you know, he's like, why would you say that? And, you know, he was so patient, this guy. He sat there for like 45 minutes in front of his furnace, like flipping through his like Bible app and found this part where it described the throne room of God. And, you know, the takeaway from this is that God dwells in higher places than that of even heaven itself. That's an observation that I saw through the death of this 18-year-old boy. That's a secret of heaven. You know, take it or leave it. You know, that I have seen, and they don't talk about this in Christian dogma or anywhere, but I've seen unified physics as fact. I've seen holes in string theory that I can punch through easily. And looking at unified physics as fact, there must be a pinnacle of unified physics that, you know, there must be. And that is what I liken to the throne of creation, the throne of God. And this understanding, the secret of heaven, that God dwells in higher places than that of even heaven itself, gives credence to the observation that unified physics is fact. And that's a secret of heaven. You know, it's amazing. Another amazing thing that I believe to be true about life after death is I believe, you know, physicists very, very seldomly agree upon things. You know, I had some guy tell me in the comments he thought I should write an essay and submit it to peers for scientific review and analysis. And, you know, you think I'd be the only one to do that? There's so many hundreds of thousands of people throughout time that have wasted their lives, you know, being torn apart by their peers. You know, ultimately, if you choose to weigh and measure facts, you'll find secrets of the universe. You know, if you wait for people to give peer approval, you know, to give yourself, what are you looking for? You know, somebody to tell you that you're right and they think you're right. You know, use your own mind to analyze the universe with a skeptical filter on high. And that's what I do. I try to analyze my universe with a skeptical filter. And I believe all good science points to God, you know. But anyway, that's the end of my rant. Oh, I guess I could rant a little more about it. I could say that something else that I believe that I've learned about time and space and heaven is that there are wilds to the kingdoms of heaven. I believe that firmly, you know. Everything on earth, every atom in motion is a recording, you know, in the book of life by this energetic universal particle, the tachyon, you know. So if there are gardens on earth, there are gardens in heaven. If there are wilds on earth, there are wilds in heaven. You know, I believe, you know, like it says in the Bible, you know, outside the gates of heaven, lo, in topography are the hedonists and the conjurers and the dogs and all of the low vibrations. And of course they would. Of course there would be. There's high vibrations and low vibrations to everything in existence. If you don't realize that there's high vibration people and low vibration people at this point in your life, then you must not be, you know, quantifying things in metaphysical terms like me. And that's fine. That's fine. But God is, man, period. You know, people that have God are infinitely more equipped to deal with the adversities of life. You know, drinking all the Kool-Aid, you know, was the best decision I ever made. You know, not joking at all. You know, before I started following this concept of God, the understanding of God, I didn't have strength or belief that I could have children and be okay, you know, financially. You know, but once I had drinking all the Kool-Aid, I believe God exists. I believe God takes care of me. And suddenly, boom, I've got 2 kids. And, you know, it's because I believe that God's there, you know, and he is, you know, because I believe he is. And that allowed me to have children and allowed prosperity to flow into my life. I literally put everything in my life on him. Every obstacle, every bad thing that happens. I've seen horrifying things in the world. PG thing here. If you got children listening, tap out now. But I've seen people starve to death. Last week, I've seen people starve to death on the internet. I've seen parents give all the food to the child, and then they starve to death. And as they go, their final things they hear in this world is their children crying out, saying, "Mommy and Daddy, I'm hungry," knowing full well that they will soon pass on as well, that no aid is coming, no people are coming to assist these people. It happens all the time. People starve to death. But guess what? I've also seen something. I've seen a soldier come upon a scene of a child barely clinging to life next to the body of their starved, dead parent, and that child was fine. It's like, what do you mean they were fine? That sounds insane. That child would tell the soldier, "I'm going to go see my mama soon in heaven because God is there for us." And in the midst of horrors, in the midst of the worst things possible, people cling to life. They cling to life. They eat worms. They eat onions until there's nothing left because that's all that was remaining after everything was looted and pillaged away. And what gives them strength to keep on keeping on? It's the belief in God, the belief that there is life after death and that there is a loving force out there that loves you infinitely. When you can start to believe, drink the Kool-Aid, even if you don't even believe in God. If you can convince yourself that there is a force out there that loves you every single moment of every single day, that saturates your very being, and it makes you better. It makes your life better. It makes you happier. I'm going to tell you something that will make you literally think I'm insane. I listen to 88.1 FM every day. I listen to this when I'm in my car. When I get home, I listen to Owsla and Oliver Tree, and I listen to Daft Punk, and I listen to a lot of electronic poppy noise. And like Cottonmouth King, Sublime, I listen to, Led Zeppelin, listen to a lot of classical stuff. I listen to Necrogoblikon. I listen to, a lot of great, interesting music. But when I'm in my car, all I listen to is K-Love, 88.1 FM. It's positive and encouraging music. It's godly stuff. It's not like vibrato, holy, holy, holy. It's not like, hymns or anything like that. But this music saturates my being. And when I wake up in the morning, sometimes I will hear those songs playing. I can physically hear the songs playing. And then I'll realize the radio's not on. I'll fully wake up and the music will go away. And I'll go, man, that is so nice waking up. First thing you hear is, "I'm so blessed, I'm so blessed, nothing matters but the rest." Like, they're these like catchy little quippy songs, earwormy as hell songs. And they're positive messages, encouraging messages that lift you up. And that's the only way that I could even have a business. Like a business, A Quick Fix Heating and Air. Check it out at aquickfixhvac.com. aquickfixhvac.com. Yeah, I mean, I owe my entire life to God. Before I had God, I worked for other people for my entire life. I'm 35 now. At the time I quit my job when my son was 6 months old, I worked for Burton Heating and Cooling. And at the time, my boss was like, "What the hell are you going to do? You've got kids." And I said, "Sir, I've recently drank all the Kool-Aid, and I believe that God is taking care of me and signing my paychecks, even though you hand them to me. So I'm going to do what I feel God would have me do. I'm going to throw my pole in the water every day and see what the Lord doesn't provide." And guess what? This is going on year 4 now. My business, I incorporated my business off the sweat of my own brow in April of 2021. And it's going on my 4th year in business here in Omaha, Nebraska. And my brother Michael at the time, he still has no kids. He says to me when I quit Burton, he also worked at Burton as a technician. He says to me, "What are you going to do? You've got kids to provide for." And I says, "Mike, I'm just going to trust in God." He says, "You're insane." He's like, "You should not do that." And I says, "Dude, how many eagles jump out of the nest, the first time? They got to flap real hard. Hope they don't go splat on the ground. I says, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to jump out of the nest and I'm going to flap real hard. And hell or high water, I'm going to hope I don't go splat on the ground. And guess what? I didn't go splat on the ground. And how many eagles do you ever see jump out of the nest and go splat on the ground? Not very many. You know, and if you believe that God is there for you, then even if everything falls apart, even if you're starving to death with nothing, you're going to be stronger and better equipped to deal with the harsh realities you're living with. Call it, you know, blowing smoke up your own ass until you're insane and sugar-coated enough to deal with the darkness of the world. I don't care. I don't care. The fact of the matter is you will be alive and you will be stronger for it. You know, I can't conquer insurmountable obstacles. I mean, that's another thing. I owe my entire life to God. I've encountered insurmountable obstacles that would have laid my relationships to waste. You know, I've been with my wife since November the 1st of 2005. We've been married since June the 16th of 2011. And we're going on 18, 19 years here soon. And we never would have made it if it wasn't for me being able to seek out God, this force greater than myself. I hadn't seen no other way. I'd come to a point where there was no other way. And I saw God, that maybe if I cling to him, maybe if I try as hard as I can to seek him out, maybe I can salvage my relationship, you know. And God did that. You know, he was able to do that. And not by my strength. I let that all down at his feet. He says, come to me for everything, every little thing, you know. And you should. You really should, you know. But they have this thing. They call it the K-Love Challenge. I tell people all the time this, you know, on K-Love on 88.1. They say, if you're upset with your life, if you're depressed, if you're not happy for any reason, we encourage you to take the K-Love Challenge. They say, listen to K-Love for 30 days. And at the end of that 30-day time, look back. And if your situation and your mental state has not dramatically improved in that 30 days time, they say, you'll be the first person to ever not have a dramatic improvement in 30 days. Because I guess this unified physical world we live in has, you know, more than the law of attraction. It's not by Rhonda Byrne's The Secret. It's more, it's more than just that book. It's real, the law of attraction, you know. That's how witchcraft works too. You know, people that are into that, you know, they're like, you know, how can I make a physical change in my world extend outward but start in the mind? Oh, I know. I'll do a love spell. They're like, I'll get a candle and I'll meditate about positive vibrations and loving things for, you know, 40 minutes in front of a fire in a ritual environment and wrap red ribbon around it in oil. So every time I smell it, I'll think about loving type things and all the things I visualized. And the basic concept here is not magic. It's not like Harry Potter, ooh, forces that you can manipulate beyond the realm of the perceivable. No, it's literally, oh, I'm carrying this around and I'm on the street corner. I'm thinking about that because it's in my pocket and I smell that smell and I'm thinking about that every time I pull on that ribbon in my pocket that's wrapped around that candle. And what's in front of me? There's a drunk man on one side of the street shouting obscenities to the world with tinfoil wrapped around his body. And on the other side, there's a beautiful woman with a stroller pushing a kid with balloons, you know. I didn't even notice the guy shouting obscenities, you know, the drunk homeless man wrapped in tinfoil. Didn't even notice him. Why? Because my perception was focused in on love, that perception, looking for that, you know. And I've recently, in 2014, when I started being Christian, I laid all that down, all that paganism that I used to cling to, because I eventually concluded that it was a weakness, that trying to make change on your own, based on your own, you know, efforts is futile. The world will crush you every freaking time. You know, you'll end up being exhausted at the end of every day, being miserable, having a soul-crushing job that you have to convince yourself to go to every day. You know, if you don't love what you do, you're living in hell already. You know, believe in it or not, you're living in it because you have a soul-crushing job, you know. But I would strongly encourage you, if you wish to get out of that soul-crushing loop of infinite spiral, death spiral, believe one thing, that people have credit cards, and they're willing to wave them in the air and make their problems go away. So whether it's scooping dog poops for you know, $10 a dog per visit per week, or power washing people's stuff. The fact that you need to believe to improve your situation is that you've never worked for yourself ever. Every day of your life, you've only ever worked for other people's dreams. And if you put 8 hours of your own effort into trying to work for yourself some weekend day that you want to test it out, you'll find that, damn, I made hell more money that day than I did working at my regular job. You do that a few times, man, your bills will pay themselves in no time. You know, but you need power greater than yourself to help give you crutches to get there. I mean, you don't have to, but my brother Joel, he doesn't, you know, have a strong relationship with Jesus. You know, he's more of a science brain, you know, and so was I when I was 27. But I tell you what, though, I do not pity him. You know, I don't envy him, you know, not having the ability to drink all the Kool-Aid, man, and have all your worries and all your fears just magically dissolve away because you know God is there because you drank the Kool-Aid. Drink the Kool-Aid. It's the best decision you'll ever make. Great video. Peace.